Hi, welcome to Box on the Box, Rock and Celluloid, Bop for short. I'm Weber Box. So I've got to review the new Accept album, Humanoid. It came out yesterday. So Accept have been on quite an interesting journey recently. Obviously they formed in 1976. And we're kind of the second a German band to break after the Scorpions. Had a really strong album, 10-run album career with Udo Dirkschneider. And then there was that misstep, Eat the Heat, where they got in a kind of American singer in, obviously MTV, and the record company demanded it. It didn't work out. And then they went on a brief hiatus, and then they did their trilogy of sort of red logo albums with black and white covers. In the 90s, Objection Overruled, Death Row and Predator, all with Udo. Then they went their separate ways. Udo's had a good solo career since then, puts out really good metal, does a lot of Accept stuff. And Accept came back in 2010 after 14 years. Wolf Hoffman got Peter Boltez back, Herman Frank and Stefan Schwartzman, I think. And they got in the singer Mark Tornillo, I'm just pronouncing it properly there. So he'd been in a band in the 80s called TT Quick, who were a New Jersey-based hard rock band. Mainly known, really, I think the guitarist was friends with Zakk Wylde, who's a big influence on Zakk Wylde, so I remember that, and the album was pretty well received at the time. And then, obviously, I guess the guy just had a regular job and maybe sung in bar bands in New Jersey, but somehow he ended up in Wolf Hoffman's orbit, and he became the new singer for Accept, and it was instantly a really good marriage. The Blood of the Nations albums really came out in 2010 and caught people by surprise. Not only how effective Mark Tornillo's vocal stylings were, this kind of gruffer, screechy, sort of more metally Brian Johnson, so you could kind of give it that AC/DC vibe but cover the Wolf Hoffman tone, the Udo Dirkschneider sound, but also the amazing production by Andy Sneap. And this really elevated Andy Sneap as well. Andy Sneap had really made his name with thrash, rebooting thrash bands. He'd done a great job with Testament. He'd done an amazing job with Exodus, his Temple with the Damned album being a real benchmark. He'd also done Arch Enemy, I think, and some others. But he hadn't really done traditional heavy metal, and then obviously with the success with the Accept album and the sound, the amazing bottom end he accomplished on the rhythm guitars, that put him into the orbit of Sax, and of course Judas Priest, where probably his most outstanding work's done. So since then he's produced every Accept album with this lineup, Blood of the Nation, Stalingrad, Blind Rage and Rise of Chaos. I've enjoyed these albums. I think Blood of the Nations was excellent. I think the songs were a bit too long, there's a bit too many tracks. So for that reason, I quite liked the Stalingrad maybe a bit more, or I found it easier to listen to. Had some great tracks, the title track Hellfire, Shadow Soldiers, Revolution, really good. After that they did Blind Rage, which was another strong record. Things were starting to get a bit samey here. They hit on a formula, they hit on a sound with Sneap. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But there was some other great tracks. This Dying Breed, Dark Side of My Heart, Fallen Empire were really good. Bloodbath Mastermind I really liked. Final Journey. So there's a real consistency there, and this continued with the Rise of Chaos album. I'm just looking at them here. Again, this had another good tracks on it. Hole in the Head, Rise of Chaos, Kool-Aid, which is a really fun track. Analog Man as well, which had a lot of humour, No Regrets, Race to Extinction. So if I was marking these albums out of 10, I'd probably give Blood of the Nation 7.5. I'd probably give Stalingrad the same, maybe an 8. I'd probably give 7 to Blind Rage. Rise of Chaos probably 6.5. And then by this point it was kind of like, the new album Too Mean to Die. But again, I did enjoy it. Zombie Apocalypse, Overnight Sensations, Funny the Undertaker, Samson and Delilah was a good instrumental, you know. Again, the hit on a formula. A lot of these albums have 11 tracks. They're about the same length, sort of 48, 46 minutes to sort of 52, 53. What has changed is basically Hoffman and Tornillo. He's just had him various other musicians. Boltez left in 2019. Frank and Schwartzman seem to leave the project in the Stalingrad era. So I think it's clear that this is, it's Wolf Hoffman's baby. He's taking charge of the band. I think some people might be a bit critical of that. I suppose I would see it very much as Wolf Hoffman's Accept. But what can't be denied is they've made excellent sounding heavy metal records with excellent tracks. And I think it's made Accept more popular in some ways, or more appealing. I will say that Udo's album, was it Game Over? I can't remember the title. It was 2021. I did think that was better than 2 Mean to Die, and I preferred it to Rise of Chaos, and possibly Brian Fury. So Udo's been doing good stuff as well. And Udo certainly has more charisma than Mark Danilo. When you see them live with Wolf is very much the show. Anyway, that's my sort of recap of what's happened with Accept. So what's the new album out like? Well, it'll be no surprise. It's more of the same. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Andy Sneap's on board. What the track's like. So it opens with Diving Into Sin. I always think with Accept, since their reboot, they often don't start with the strongest track on the album. And I think this is a good track. It's a good opener. But I don't think it's the strongest track. I've sort of got my notes here. It's got a gothic intro. But it's got quite interesting, really good screeches on the chorus. Mark Tornillo does quite good kind of piercing screams, but with kind of lots of phlegm. So, you know, a decent track. Then it goes into the title track, Humanoid. This was the first video they released with them kind of CGI'd as humanoids. I think this is sort of similar standing. It's a solid Accept track. I don't think it's great. Third track is a new video of Frankenstein. Now this I really like. A lot of people in the video, they've wrongly identified Frankenstein as the monster. The monster is the monster, Frankenstein's the scientist. Just a little fact there. But I like this, it's catchy, it's got a really good lead break. Now I'm not sure if it's Wolf does a first lead break or the other guitarists they've got in. They seem to have a 6-piece band at the moment. But it is good. I would say it's an improvement on the lead guitar on this album. But I really like that track. Then you've got Man Up. This is the first kind of AC/DC vibe track that I like to do. Quite like the lyrics on this. You know, I'm all for talking about your problems and that, and so on, and being more gentle. But sometimes, basically what they're saying is on this track, life is hard, and sometimes you just gotta man up if you're a bloke, and you'll get through it. And I don't think that's a bad message. It's a kind of counterbalance. Again, it's got the Accept vocal chants on this that they're renowned for. Going back to Balls to the Wall before that, that's very much a trademark of Accept. Incidentally, just a side note, if you've got the new Judas Priest album, there's the track Sons of Thunder, and that kind of almost feels like an Accept style chorus with those chants. So anyway, it's got nice harmonies on this, and it's got good BVs on the bridge, and that's another thing that comes out in the album. There's quite a few more vocal harmonies. There's a sort of element of catchiness to this. Then we've got The Reckoning, again, another fairly typical track. I quite like it. It's there's quite a lot of tracks in the Tornillo era that are kind of like warnings for humanity, should we say. Tracks like Pandemic, hey, they got ahead on that one, and Your Final Journey, and The Undertaker, and it's in that thing. It's kind of, you know, something's coming your way, so to speak. And then you got Nobody Gets Out Alive. It's probably the weakest track on the album, but there's quite a cool riff on this, quite kind of Scorpions-ish. There's sort of a bit of a party vibe, you know. Then you've got Ravages of Time. This is, usually they have a ballad on their albums. Is it Kill the Pain on Blood of Nations? So these are quite interesting. They have that minor vibe, but they've kind of got that Eastern European feel. You know, Wolf Hoffman likes to bring in Call the Hall of the Mountain King. You know, he'll bring in, you know, that scale a little bit. I think the vocal's really good on this. It shows another side to Mark Tornillo's vocals. He sings a bit softer, a bit more articulation. I quite like that. Quite a nice wah-wah lead on this. Then you've got Unbreakable. This is track 8. This is another rocker. This is kind of the lyrical style on this is basically about, like, you know, how the audience comes together and we're unbreakable in metal. You know, a lot of these tracks are kind of 6 out of 10 tracks. It's that thing where they're not amazing tracks, but they're so well produced and so well played. They're not going to be like, oh, that's shite. Then you've got Mind Games. This is a bit catchy. It's kind of got a dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, a sort of slow kind of gallopy swing. Again, it's got harmonies on the chorus. It's pretty melodic. So say this is a stronger track in the run since The Reckoning. And then the album finishes with 2 of the absolute, I think probably the best tracks on the album, along with Frankenstein. So you got Straight Up Jack. I love this track. This is the only track under 4 minutes, 3 minutes 28. This is very much in the AC/DC vibe, straight up Jack. It's a fun party drinking track, just, straight Jack Daniels. I really like it. You could imagine AC/DC doing this. Production's excellent on this, guitars crunching, top clarity, punchy drums, bass. I mean, Andy Sneap does a great job. And then South Side of Hell, this has got quite a long sort of gothic guitar intro. He's not using the sustainer on that. That's on The Reckoning, I think. But it's got a faster sort of tempo on this. I think that's something the album's missing, really. It's been a while since they've done a real fast as a shark style tempo song. But I really like this. It's got a cool kind of staccato with some nice trills on it. So those last two tracks are definitely 10 out of 10 tracks along with Frankenstein. So my sort of take on this, there's three really standout cuts. I listened to it 6 times. Frankenstein, Straight Up Jack, South Side of Hell. The other tracks, I would say, are possibly gross. Some are better than others, but they don't dip below a kind of 6 out of 7 out of 10 sort of vibe. So I would give the album 7 out of 10. Is it better than 2 Mean to Die? I think some elements it might be, but 2 Mean to Die was maybe better than I thought it was. But it's possibly on a level with Rise of Chaos. But I still think those first 3 albums are probably better. But I think the conclusion we can draw from this, if you're new to Accept and you bought this album, you would be perfectly happy. If you've bought the previous Accept albums with Mark Tonello, you may be thinking, I've kind of got the Accept I need from this, so to speak. But it is a good record. I just don't think this band are going to make a bad record. But I don't think they're going to stretch out. If they're going to stretch out further from where they are since this incarnation started, I think they would have done it by now, and I don't think they're going to do that. They seem to be putting out an album every 4 years now. I think 2 Meter Down was 2021. Every 3 or 4 years they tour. Very popular. Great. So, a legendary band. They probably didn't get bigger because Udo's vocal stylings and so Mark Tonello are not very commercial. But they do play pure metal. The night I deliver it, very much the German Judas Priest in that respect meets AC/DC, and they'll continue to do that, I think. So, total summary, 7 out of 10 I'm giving this. If you like Accept, I don't think you'll be disappointed in this album. You may have had your fill of, with the previous albums, but, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And if you're new to this, then this album is well worth checking out. And go back and check out their albums with Mark Tonello. And if you're looking to dip into the Udo era, you want to get restless and wild, balls to the wall would be my recommendations. Okay, thanks very much for checking this out, and remember, share and subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Thank you.